Alright, so I want to show us how to put your trouser pockets in. So here I have the measurements of 13 by 13. So one edge was slashed. The slashing is taking bearing from the pocket depth notching you made. Now I have it to be 7 inches by 1 inch or 1.5. So at the straight part is where you put your pocket facing, because we are using lining to do the pocket seam. So you sew from here, pocket facing. Now this pocket facing was gotten, or is gotten from the trouser drafting when you initially cut the trouser, right? So this is how it should be. But the measurement of the pocket facing is 4 inches width by length. Anything longer than your notching is acceptable, right? So let's just say 11 or 12. So you sew from this edge all through. You sew from here all through. So your pocket facing has been fixed. Now this is one. Then we are going to fix the next one. Alright, if you notice, we have this slashing line at this point. So for you to replicate, to do this again for the other pocket, please don't make this slash to be at one end and you fix this again here. You are repeating one pocket 2 times, so you make it the other way around. So once you have marked the chalk at the pocket facing, actually it will help you to correct whatever error that you might encounter. So you hold it that way and then you sew. It's better to first fix the pocket facings first before you start attaching this to the trouser, so that you will not make mistake of having double pockets. The method can be used to sew both English trouser and Ankara and the regular anything trouser, right? It's the same procedure, nothing different. Then this is it. You make sure you weave. Make sure you weave, because make sure you weave. Very important. Weave. Cut your threads. Then you bring one front of the trouser panel. Now you also take the corresponding panel. The place that has the slashing effects will be attached to this pocket side. Will be attached to the pocket side. So now this pocket was notched at 7 inches by 2.5 and then gummed in this direction. I believe you must have known how to do this by now. So you make sure you place it half an inch inwards on the lining. Half an inch inwards on the lining. Then you hold it that way and then you sew from there. You sew from here, half an inch inwards from the lining. You sew from here. Then make sure your sewing is nicely done. Sew from here. Then lock the upside as well. After you must have done this, you hold the main trouser right this way, bend it this way, and then you top stitch the tip. This one is optional. You can decide not to do this, but I like doing it actually. You top stitch the tip. Then after the top stitching, you now make another half inch or quarter inch sewing, which is very important as well. Quarter inch sewing this way. You might decide to go straight or you might decide to end it at this point. After you must have done this, so the next thing you will do now is to hold it in this form and then make sure that your pocket seam is being replaced here with 2.5. Bear in mind that what you notched at the upside was 2.5, so replace it by 2.5 as well. From the second line you have sewn, right? 2.5. Please don't do it 3 or 2. Make sure you replace by 2.5. Very important. Then at this point you stitch from up. Confirm that it's 2.5 that you are replacing before you start sewing, right? 2.5. Then you stitch. So now you stitch here by half an inch. You stitch at this point half an inch. Just stitch here half an inch this way. Then this pocketing is excessively cut because of when I first did it, I did not iron it properly, so that's why I have the excesses. So let me cut out the excess pocketing. So just cut it out. So now, after you must have done that, then you raise the main fabric, the main trouser up, then notch the pocket seam half inch inwards this way, and then tuck your hand inside, and then you bring it out in this form, and then you stitch or you close from the damp part of the pocket seam. You might decide to give it a block sewing or a cozy sewing. However you want to do it, it's still okay. So make sure your stitching ends at the end of the notching. Then you can cut off the excesses this way. Cut it out properly. Cut it out properly. Cut your threads. And then tuck in your pocketing inside, and then you top stitch it down. The top stitching helps you to reinforce the pocketing so that it will be strong enough. So top stitch here this way. So you're done. I'm done with this. So cut your threads as well. So the next you do now is you repeat the same process or procedure on the other part of the trouser. So I will do this now and show you the result after making it. Don't leave the video. Alright, so I'm done putting the pockets. So let's learn how to put the lining at the back of the trouser, right? I have already fixed this. So I cut the lining to the bit excess, so I will have a pleat here. So the essence of this is to make sure that the line doesn't compress the trouser, right? It's done intentionally. If you can still put it without these excesses, there's still no problem. So now I'm done with this. So this is the lining I have, right? So then you start from the leg side to start fixing. So now you start from the leg side, then make sure you sew at the width point, please. Don't sew more than the width position. So you sew from here. Make sure your lining and the trouser edge are corresponding. Sew at the width position, please. Don't sew more than the weaving part. Sew just all through here. Then also sew at the curvy edge this way as well. So make sure you sew from this part. Then when you get to this stage, the excess lining you are meant to pleat or fold, right? To make sure that the excesses here are all sent inside. So you hold it this way and then you pleat at the center of the trouser. This is optional. You can decide to cut exact. So you pleat at the center of the trouser, making sure that the excesses are being properly tucked in this way. You can decide to cut it equally, there's no problem. So you sew from here. Then when you get to this stage, you also go down. So this is how you can fix your lining on your trouser. Very simple. Make sure you arrange it properly as you go down. Very simple as well. The length of the lining is 21 to 22 inches, least of 18. So this is how it is. You can now cut off the excess lining here. Excess lining here, cut it out, and then this is the lining, right? So we are done with the lining of the both panels. So you now hold the both panels equally this way. Then you notch at 0.7 inches is the maximum for all adults. For smaller children or for children, you reduce to 5 inches, 5.5 or 6. So I'm using 6.8 because I have a smaller measurement here. So 6.8 is what I use. So I'm using a notch half an inch inwards, right? So now at this stage, you can now differentiate the female trouser from the male trouser by picking the corresponding panels that will be ideal. On female trousers, you pick the right part of the trouser, that's the right part of the trouser. For male, you pick the left part to fix your zip. I'll say it again. For female trousers, you pick the right panel of the trouser to fix your zip, and then the zip appears on the left. For male trousers, you pick the left panel of the trouser, fix your zip, and the zip appears on the right. So now we are going to pick the left part of our trouser to fix our zip. The flap, you bring the flap. So you are going to pick the right flap to correspond to this, right? So you take your left panel of the trouser. That the part you have, you can pocket your left hand. That's what I mean by left panel. Then pick the right flap. Then make sure that you place the flap to come half an inch above the trouser panel. Then start from the notching position or the notch point to sew. Now make sure it's properly stitched, right? Make sure it's properly stitched. Then you stitch from here this way, and then you sew and come off. So when you get to this stage, you make sure you stitch properly and don't allow the weak point to show. You stitch properly and come outrightly to this point, and then you bring your zip. This is how it will come out. You bring your zip. Now this zip will be positioned in a very particular point. It should not be placed anyhow. So the zip is placed, you face the zip down. Now this is the easiest way you can fix your zip on your trousers. So you face the zip down this way. Now making sure that the zip edge is flapping at the joining, right? Don't allow this zip to be on top of the trouser panel nor be away from the joining. Make sure that this zip is placed at this edge. Then at the head of the zip, make sure the zip stopper, that iron edge is half inch below this panel of the trouser, right? Then you start sewing from this other side. Face it down this way. Face the zip down this way, and then you start stitching from this other end. So now you stitch from the end of this zip this other way. Stitch from here. Make sure the zip is properly relaxed and lapping properly, please, very important. Then stitch properly this way, and then you stitch. So after you must have sewn this, the next thing you do is you hold the zip this way, and then you fold it the other way around. It comes out in this form, right? It comes out in this form. So you take the second flap. Now, if you are making an English trouser, it's at this point that you differentiate the Ankara sewing and the plain trouser sewing. You now fold this, you now put this straight up if you are making an extended band. But if you are sewing for Ankara, chinos, or any other material that you don't need an extended band, you fold this into two equal parts this way. After folding it, make sure you get an edge here. Then insert the folded edge under the zip, making sure that the two flaps are equal. Bear in mind that the flap was half inch longer than the front panel, so don't make the mistake of making the flaps, one of the flaps to be shorter. It will result to the issue whereby one band will be higher than the other band after fixing your band. So make sure that the two flaps are corresponding at this point. Then once it's equal this way, then you place it at this point, and then you start stitching. Stitch at the tip of the zip to hold the flap down. Stitch at this point this way, and then you're done with this flap. So the next you will do now is to bring the other panel of the trouser, and then you place the panel to be equal in length with the first panel you have already positioned on your outfit, right? So you make the panel to be equal in length at this point, and then you arrange it properly, making sure that the both panels are equal now. Then you start stitching from the notch point as well. From the notch point you have done initially. That's the essence of making sure that the notching was done together, so that you get exact positioning. So you stitch from the notch point. Don't exceed that notch point, please. Don't exceed it. So you sew from there, and then make sure that the new line you're sewing is covering the line you used holding your lining to the panel of the trouser, right? Very important as well. So stitch from there. Then once you are done with that, the next you will do is you cut your threads and then open it up this way. So this is how the zip will come out. As you can see, we have zero thread surface here, meaning that there's no thread showing on this part. Then you fold the two panels together this way, fold the two panels together this way, and then you make sure that the two crouch are corresponding as well this way, and then you open up the flaps. Then start from the first line, the line you use to attach this flap to the panel of the trouser. Pin your needle there, then arrange the crouch area properly, and then you stitch from that point, and then give it a curvy sewing as the shape of your crouch, right? Give it a curvy sewing. It's advisable to make a double stitch there, that meaning sew two lines. But then if you're using industrial machine, you can tighten your stitch at this point in order to avoid the stress of sewing double line at that point. So just tighten your stitch and then sew once. If you're still using manual, butterfly, or whatever machine you're going to use, tighten your stitch and then sew at that point. So now, after having done that, the next is to fold your flap this way. Now, if you look at the base of this, at this base now, you are having a 1/4 inch blockage as a result of the 1/4 inch used in sewing this, right? So that will serve you for the folding effect. So this is how it should be, this way. Now, you make sure you take a chalk, then arrange the flap properly, and then you map out the end of your opening here, which is somewhere here. You map it out this way, and then the measurement of sewing maximum will be 1.5 maximum for all grown-ups. For kids, you can do 1.2, 1.1, or 1 inch. But for my customer, I'm doing 1.3, 1.4 for him. So somewhere here is where I'm sewing. So you take your time to mark at this part, and then you make a curvy drawing here. Please don't use a color chalk to mark on a white fabric. Make sure you use a white chalk to mark on a white fabric, or don't use a color chalk to mark on yellow or any fabric that will retain the chalk for a longer time. So you unzip your trouser while you arrange the flap properly. At this point, you can decide to double fold this flap at the hem. At the underside, you can fold into two. But one advantage of this issue is that when folding this, you have issues of this area being too thick or too strong for your finishing effect. So you just have to leave it straight. Once you have weaved it, it's okay, or you can pile. So you sew from there. You sew from here this way, making sure that your stitching or your stitch is very neat, right? So you stitch from here, and then you sew all through down. Then while approaching the end point of your curve, mark 1 inch higher. You start from 1 inch point to start making your curve, so that you will not have an L-like shaped sewing there. So you go all through to that point. Then once you get to that point, you want to start curving, you can now zip your trouser. Zip it this way, zip it up and then balance the underneath flap to make sure it's properly balanced or positioned. Then you make sure that there is no excess rumples here. You straighten out the fabric in this form and then hold your hands in a spread position to enable you do a curvy move there. So you sew gradually, don't be in a haste, right? Go gradually and then you curve it properly as we have seen, right? So at this point, this is how it came out, and then this is the effect we have, right? So I will clean the chalk and then iron it down, and it will be properly fixed. So the next one you will see now will be on how to do your waist pockets, and then subsequently how to lock the size and put the other corresponding components of the trouser. Thank you for watching.